Hello everyone, welcome to Deepti's biology class. We have already covered asexual reproduction in animals and we are starting with asexual reproduction in plants. In many textbooks you will see it as common, that means asexual reproduction in plants and animals together. So same content we have divided animals separate and plants separate. So the first mode is fission. We know that apart from plants, like algae, there are two more kingdom which performs, that is fungi and monera, right? So fission as a common we have taken here, but when we talk about plants, lower algae performs fission as the asexual method of reproduction, during which the unicellular mother cell divides mitotically to produce two daughter cells, and each daughter cells eventually grows into independent organisms. Second one is by the formation of bud or else buds. Buds are nothing but these are adventitious branches. Now what is the meaning of adventitious branches? Something which attached on the main plant body, we call it as buds. So here apart from plant we already know that fungus like yeast. What is yeast? The only unicellular member of kingdom fungi. They are also having buds. What is the speciality of bud? They remain attached to the parent body or parent cell. Later it will get separated and mature as new organism. Third method is fragmentation. So the vegetative thallus, that means the green part of the plant body, in case of fungus and all we call it as hyphae, which breaks up into small segments due to mechanical pressure. Each segment is capable of growing into new mycelium. Mycelium, see, when you are talking about some lower organisms such as fungi and all, the main plant body we call it as mycelium, right? Mycelium is made up of number of smaller unit, we call it as hyphae. Hyphae are the smaller unit. Many hyphae together form mycelium, right? So what happens? This hyphae or the body, they divide into number of pieces and each piece will be capable of growing as a new organism. Example is Eulothrix, Didogonium, Spirogyra, Signema. These are the examples. And some fungus also, algae also capable of performing fragmentation. Now, the fourth mode is spore formation. Spores are asexually reproducing unit. These can be either motile or else non-motile. Motile are capable to move themselves and not motile spores need some other external support such as flowing water or the wind. Such things are required, right? Such one example is given here, Conidia. This is one of the important types of spore. Many a time questions are asked even in board exams. So you can just remember this one and we will cover it in detail. Ciliated motile asexual spore called zoospores. Zoo, we know these are animals. What is the speciality of animal? Able to move from one place to another. So the spores are termed as zoospores because these are motile. Why these are motile? They have this cilia which helps in their movement. And these are produced by some of the algae and fungi. These zoospores swim in water for some time with the help of their flagella or cilia. They later directly develops into new independent individuals under favorable conditions. So examples are given there, especially this example is important, Chlamydomonas. I will show you the image also. Now some of the terrestrial fungi, they are producing non-flagellated and non-motile spores which are also termed as Gonidia. Since these are non-motile, they are lightweight. Why? Then only some external agencies can take it from one place to another. They are also provided with tough coat as well as adapted for the dispersal by wind. Example is Penicillium and Aspergillus. These are some of the fungal species or fungus. I will show you the image in the next slide. The structure bearing true spores is sporangium. So what is sporangium? Sporangium, if suppose this is the surface, from here there will be a long stalk-like structure. On this stalk there is a bag-like structure, we call it as sporangium. Within the sporangium there will be spores. Spores are present in the sporangium, right? Now this entire structure we call it as sporophyte. Thus, see sporophyte. Thus, sporophyte multiplies rapidly in a sexual manner to generate large number of spores. Some ferns are the examples. In class 11, we have already studied classification, right? There, ferns and everything you might have studied as the plant in chapter plant kingdom it is given, right? These bear spores and reproduce asexually. When these spores get, see, like this sporangium burst and the spore comes out, right? Then when they attach to some substratum, it will grow as new independent organism. These are homospores. If the spores are, all the spores are of same type, we call it as homospores. If these are of different type, like we are able to identify some difference between the negative or positive. Here you have to remember, spores we will not call it as male or female. We call spores as positive and negative strains, right? Such spores we call it as heterospores. Now if you look at this image, you can see these like flagella like structures are there. These are the zoospores which are able to move. Conidia, like you can see, there is a chain of spores. Like there is a plant body. On this body there will be multiple spores are there. So each of them, whenever they fall down, each, see, 1 2 3 4 like this, these are there, each one capable of forming as new independent organism under favorable condition. Do you remember what is this one? Gemmules, where it is present? Please revise it. What is the speciality of this one? What do we call it and where it is present, right? So here one example given. Chlamydomonas is an organism which can perform sexual mode of reproduction as well as asexual mode of reproduction, right? So this we have already studied. Just for you to remember, I have given this diagram here. When it is sexual reproduction, it produces positive gamete and negative gamete. They fuse and there will be a thick walled zygote, and zygote will later form as the chlamydomonas. But in case of asexual reproduction, what happened? This already one haploid one is there. This haploid one undergo mitosis. After mitosis, there is no fusion here, right? It will directly grow as new spores, right? These spores when fall down, it can grow as the complete organism. Here you need to remember about zoospores are present in chlamydomonas which are motile. Conidia. So the question is, how Mycelium reproduces asexually? Mycelium reproduces asexually by the formation of gonidia, right? So here few more examples are given here for the spores. Hope you can identify. Just you can refer this one. There is nothing detailed to study here, right? So we are starting with vegetative propagation. How? So once we have studied about all these asexual mode of reproduction, now we are going to start with the vegetative propagation. What is propagation? Propagation means a new growth. Vegetative means growth of a new plant from any part other than seed. Normally we plant seed, that seed will grow as a new plant, right? So in vegetative propagation, we are using any part but not the seed. It can be stem, it can be leaf, it can be root to rise the new plant, right? So vegetative propagation is divided into natural as well as artificial mode of vegetative propagation. In natural methods of propagation, what happened? This new plant formed from some organ of the mother plant under suitable natural condition. We are not doing any external work, it grows itself. Some of such structures are, it can even from stem, leaf, root, or even from the flower, new plants can form. Such a reproduction we call it as vegetative reproduction. So hope these all things, even from junior class also you study underground stem modification. See, underground stem is modified to form a new plant. Later if you plant it, it will grow as a new plant. Vegetative reproduction by propagation by roots. Sweet potato and asparagus or even dahlia. Normally when you want to plant new one, we uses its root. Root will be planted to get the new plantlets or the new plant. So example, you have to remember different things under natural method: vegetative propagation by stem, vegetative propagation by leaf, and vegetative propagation by root. So under root one, which are the examples? Sweet potato, asparagus, and dahlia. This image is actually different, like there is rhizome is one underground modification, bulb in onion, comb in colocasia, and tuber is also given there. These are different modification. This image indicate we can grow the plant apart from the seed. A common diagram is given here. Now we will, so root we have already seen, like a dahlia and all. Through leaves, so roots we have covered. Through the leaves there is a plant called bryophyllum. See, if this is the leaf, at these edges new buds will form. At these edges new buds will form, and when this bud fall down, it will grow as a new complete plant. So buds develop in the margins of the leaf, we call it as edges, and buds produced new plants can be seen in bryophyllum. So any plant, give the name of the plant which can reproduces through leaf. What is the example? Bryophyllum. Now through the floral buds, small flower like buds will be appearing like agave and oxalis. These buds can produce new plants. So these are the examples given. If you don't know what are all these, please search it in internet and just see the image. Maybe you are familiar with these plants, trees, or whatever it is, right? Now through stem, this is very important, very important, no, very important, we must say. Let's see what are all these. So we know which are the examples for means vegetative propagation: through root, through leaves, through buds, now through stem. There are different stem given here which can propagate vegetatively. First one is runner, second one is offset, third one is stolen, and the fourth one is sucker. Just in the right side I am drawing that, you just observe carefully. Suppose this is the soil and there is a plant and this is the root, right? When you talk about runner, number one I am talking about, there will be a horizontal stem which is coming, having multiple nodes and internodes. What is the difference between nodes and internodes? There is a node followed by internode. Nodes are nothing but, this is present, if this is a stem, here is the, these are the nodes. Between the nodes what will come? These are the internode. Whenever you plant something by stem, you need to make sure that you just cut below this node, because nodes can rise new roots. So here also there will be a horizontal stem which comes, and wherever there is node there will be new plant which will be forming. This horizontal structure we call it as runners. So what are runners? These are the horizontal stem. Horizontal stem means which goes this way and it has multiple nodes and internodes. And these nodes can even grow the roots and new plant will be grown there. Second one is offset. Offsets are nothing but aquatic runners. Suppose if this is the water level, right, and this is one of the aquatic plant. Aquatic plants are having roots and stem, everything swollen, right? So from here there is a horizontal one which is growing, but it is a form of swollen stem, right? From here there will be the new branch which will be growing. So this is the second one, that is offset. Now what is the difference between this 1 and 2? Here first difference is offsets are swollen one and runners are horizontal one and without swollen one. Here there will be one node, one internode, and there will be again node, which means at every node there will be a new plant which will be forming, and that is not present in this case. This is very important. Runners are horizontal stem which has multiple nodes and internodes. Every node will not give rise to new plant, right? Now what about these offset? These are aquatic runners, right? Now next one is stolon. Stolons are especially present in chrysanthemum and all. When you talk about this one, if suppose this is the soil and there is a plant, right? These stolons are actually arched form of stem with nodes and internodes, right? And there at the node there will be new plant, right? Now what? So this is the third one, and the fourth one I am drawing here. The fourth one is here, right? Suppose if this is the soil and the fourth one is sucker, right? So here is the plant and sucker is actually bent but underground, bent like a stem, but it is an underground stem. So through stem, plant propagate by four way. Which are they? By runner. Runner is the horizontal stem with multiple nodes and internodes. Second one is offset. These are aquatic runners which are swollen. What about this stolon? Stolon is in the arch form above the soil level, right? Arch form above the soil level. And what about suckers? Suckers are nothing but these are also stem but which are arch form but in underground. Please remember this one using this diagram. So this one is runner, you can see the horizontal one above the soil, right? And the second one is stolon. Stolon, as I told, there is arched shape, right? And the third one is sucker. Sucker is in chrysanthemum. So this, okay, before I have told chrysanthemum in stolon, right? So just stolon example is given here. So the suckers are actually underground but with a curve, and offsets are actually this way, swollen one, but these are present in the aquatic condition. So please combine your definition with this image, which is very important. So runners, stolon, suckers and offset. These two are almost same, but one is on the land, one is in the water. This is with multiple nodes and internodes, and here it is swollen one. Hope this one is clear. Now let's start with artificial methods. So we have covered first natural method. In that we have seen by root, by stem, by leaf, by floral buds. How it is possible, and the example also you must know. Next one is artificial method. Artificial method means for our desire we are actually creating it, right? By human help. Artificial vegetative propagation in which some part of the plant organ is utilized for obtaining new complete plant. Amongst them, the most common methods are cutting, layering and grafting. You might have heard about, right? How we plant rose. We cut a stem and we plant it. But always make sure that in every stem there is these type of structures. We call it as nodes. This is also node, right? Between these two nodes there will be internode. If you want to cut this particular stem, make sure that you cut just below the node, so that from this node new roots will come and that will grow as a plant. But if you cut from here, what will happen? Since there is no node, internode cannot grow the root. As a result, it will not grow, right? So cut pieces of root when planted in moist soil leads to the artificial inducement and development of adventitious roots. What are adventitious roots? These are the roots which arises from the plant other than the root axis. We know that there is a portion called radicle which give rise to root. If any root which arises other than this radicle, we call it as adventitious roots. New plants which are developed in this way in lemon, tamarind, and there are many like rose and all you can write. These all we grow by cutting. Rose, sugarcane, croton, China rose, these all are some examples in which cutting is involved, by which stem pieces are planted which contain nodes, right? When means if you cut it from just below the nodes, then it is planted into moist soil to develop into new plants. Adventitious roots will be developed from the underground part of the stem, and buds, everything will be growing from the aerial part of the stem. If you are not aware about all these things, just with the help of your family members, try to plant something which can grow using stem cutting. Easily you can observe from where the root comes, from where the buds come and all. This is something which is simple. Maybe you are familiar with, right? So you can see there is a branch or some portion which is cut and that is planted in a pot so that it will grow as a new plant. Which means the new plant, so here the important point you have to remember is that here the new plant is grown away from the parent plant, because if it is budding, what happened? The new plant which remain on the parent plant, but in this case what happened? The new one is removed from the parent plant, then it will grow as a new plant. In second one, why I mentioned that point is, if you look at this image of layering, that is second method, new plants we are growing here, right? But still it is attached with the parent plant. In layering, what happens is that a plant which is having multiple branches, so what will be done? One of the branches bent towards the soil and small weight is kept here. If there is a node, what will happen? New roots will be arising. After few days, once we make sure that the root has come, we can cut it from here and this can be grown as a new plant, or else we can transport it to some other plant. Lemon, grapes, hibiscus, jasmine, all these can be done. So the lower branches of the plant are bent and covered with the soil in such a way that the tip of the branch remain outside the soil and the middle portion is buried inside the soil. Adventitious root will develop from this buried region of the plant stem. At that time this branch is cut and separated from the parent plant. So the new plant is obtained. So what is the difference between cutting and layering here? In case of cutting, new plant is obtained by removing a part from the parent plant, right? But here the new plant is developed, still it is attached on the parent one. So I am giving you one homework. Just find what is goody. Layering is divided into two: ground layering and air layering. This is example of ground layering. Suppose there is a large tree which has branch. How are we going to bend it into soil? Is it possible? So this is your work. Find it. Right? So next one is grafting. In case of grafting, a small piece which we are going to join to another one. That's why graft, you might have heard about human. Grafting is there, right? So what happens? One organ is grafted to another person, right? So same way from one plant, from the desired character containing plant, a part being attached to another plant. This is what we call grafting, in which what happened, there should be a root system and there should be a shoot system. Suppose this is the plant which has the root, right? So I am making a cut here, right? I am making a cut here. This plant with root we call it as stalk. Now the plant with the desired character I am bringing here, which has this shape, so that easily I can fix it into this one, right? Easily it can be fixed into this one, right? So this is what we call zone. Stalk is the plant part with root. Zone is the part which we are going to attach to the stalk. Let's see in this definition what is given. In this method, two plants of the same or different kinds are joined together. This is achieved by bringing the tissues of the two plants in direct contact with each other. The meristematic tissue of the both the plants divide and multiply, and eventually the cells of each plant fuse together. What is meristematic tissue? The part of the plant which keeps dividing and responsible for the growth in height also, in width also. The rooted plant is called stalk plant, important, and the plant which is being grafted on is called zone. So we are joining two plants together, maybe of same character or of different character. The one with the root is stalk, the one which with the other than root is called zone. The plant possessing higher and desirable character is selected as zone. The stalk is usually strong, sturdy and hardy variety. Now mango and all, mango is there, apple, pear, citrus, guava, lychee, these all are some plants where grafting is successfully done. Now these grafting types are there. These are bud grafting, side grafting, tongue grafting, wedge grafting and crown grafting depending on the method. You no need to study it in detail, just you can understand. So here is the first one, grafting is the bud grafting, which means you can see here a small bud is being introduced into the cut of this one. So everywhere you can see A, B. Here also A, B. One is before and one is after. So this first image is bud grafting, where on one plant a small bud is placed and this bud will grow as a new branch. And the second one is whip or tongue grafting. Now what is whip means? See, you can see this part, stalk and scion is cut it in a tongue shape. So one will be having this shape and another is going to have this shape. So you can understand these two can, when it comes closer, it can be fixed. This type of cut we call it as whip or tongue. And next one, this one is called wedge grafting. Wedge is something V-shaped. So this is the stalk and the scion is going to be like this. So this is the stalk and this is the scion and this wedge is going to fix. Wedge means something which is C-shaped one tool is there, that one. Now, so this was the bud, this was the tongue, second one, and this one was the wedge and this one is crown. In case of crown, what is going to happen is that there will be a single stalk, right? And all there will be multiple scions. It looks like a crown, right? So there will be a single stalk and there will be multiple scions. It looks like a crown, so we call it as crown grafting. In all these cases, what happens? Two different varieties or same varieties are grafted together. So here is also just stalk. This is the stalk and this one is the scion that is fused and it is covered. Why it is covered with straw and everything? So that no infection, no microorganism, no water enters into that. Because if water enters, what happens? Immediately it will be spoiled by the microorganisms. So significance of the vegetative reproduction. It is an ideal method of reproduction in which whatever we wish to get, right? Any parental trait if we want to recover, we can do that. It is ideal for plants with less efficient sexual reproduction, because then what happens? Pollination has to take place. It has to become a seed has to be planted and it is a long procedure, right? In such cases we can do this one. Suppose some seeds are there, seeds are small, it is not going to grow properly, then seed dormancy is there. Dormancy means a period during which a seed is not able to show any growth. In such cases, what happened? This method can be opted. Now, it is useful in obtaining disease-free plant. So, in this case, what happens? Suppose there is a plant which you want that plant. At any cost, you cannot cut it or you cannot destroy that plant. But that plant got a disease in one of the branch, right? In such situation, what happens? From other part, you are sure that this infection is going to spread. In such situation, any part which is healthy, you can take it and we can undergo this grafting method, right? Grafting method, cutting method, layering method, any method can be done. After once you get the new plant, you can even remove that old one, right? Grafting can be used to bring together the desired character from two plants. So we have covered till now asexual reproduction in animals and asexual reproduction in plants. Asexual reproduction in plants involves growth of new plant apart from the seed. So we have studied some basic method like buds, spores, fragmentation and all, right, which are common in both animals and plants but in lower organisms, right? Then we have studied now vegetative propagation by natural and by artificial. In natural method, what are all were there? Vegetative propagation by stem, by root, by leaf, by floral buds. And in artificial method, what we have studied? Cutting, layering and grafting. And we have seen what is the significance of vegetative reproduction. Now next video, we will be starting with sexual reproduction both in animals and plants. Only the basics. Hope you like the video. Don't forget to share with your